Good morning, everyone. Um, just wanted to give you a quick review of the No Red Ink assignment for this week, which we're going to have the quiz on at the end of the week. And I just wanted to go through each of the categories and just touch on some of the main points. If you had some difficulties with a particular area, feel free to skip around. I'm going to start with the very first and then just kind of move through them. But feel free to jump through a little bit if you need to skip ahead to a part that's going to be more helpful to you. So for the first category here, about identifying the function of fanboys. Fanboys, as you should know, are coordinating conjunctions. It stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So it's really just those ones that you need to remember. And when you see them, this first category is just asking you how they're used in the sentence. Are they being used to combine subjects, as in this example, which means you would not have a comma? Are they combining verbs, as in these examples, when you also would not need a comma, combining objects, right, direct objects after the verb, again, no comma, or are they combining complete thoughts? And that's the instance when you would need a comma. So it's basically this chart here, which just keeps repeating, would be subjects combined, verbs combined, objects combined, complete thoughts combined. And so I don't know why it's going to do that every time. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, so that's basically what the lesson would consist of. So if you want to look at a couple practice examples, in this case, Hagrid has a giant pool and a hot tub at his house. So you notice here that the combination is with the pool and the hot tub. And so those would be objects. It's what he has. So that would be connecting objects. You should order either spaghetti or penne. Again, following the verb, combining objects. Cedric Diggory and his dog walk. So in this case, we have two subjects that the fanboy is combining. So that would be connecting subjects. Same here, Sarabi or one of the other students, right? So that's in the beginning of the sentence before the verb, left. So that would be connecting subjects. In this case, finally, we get a good one here. You have, I need to get to the party early, and there won't be any of the brownies left. So that would be an example of the two independent clauses or two complete thoughts being combined by a conjunction, or connected with a conjunction, sorry. And so in that case, you would use a comma. And so they're giving you, or they're showing you the comma there in this exercise. So you know then that's the indicator that what you really have here are complete thoughts, okay? And one more. Katniss Everdeen usually goes on a cruise or camps in the woods. When you see the or later in the sentence, you may think it's combining complete thoughts. But if you really look at what's being connected here, it's cruise or camps. So that would be connecting verbs. So let me see if it lets me go back out here. Oh, perfect. Okay. So then the next one was about evaluating commas. So in this case, all you're being asked to do would be whether it needs a comma or not. So the same rules really apply. If it's combining a complete thought, it's a comma. If any other thing is being combined, subject, object, verbs, no comma would be used. So only for the complete thoughts. That's the example of if you didn't have a comma there, you would have a run-on sentence, right? And that's where it makes me go back every time. Great. Okay. Anyway, so for example here, and we'll just do a couple of these because these are going to be pretty basic. If you understood the first one, Harry Potter needs to find either his skis or his snowboard before his winter vacation. So you notice here that what follows the comma is not an independent clause. His snowboard before his winter vacation is not a complete thought. right? Independent clause. So therefore, what's really being combined here would be skis or snowboard. So therefore, you'd want to remove the comma on that. Albus Dumbledore made friends with the politicians and the artists at the convention. Same example. So it's politicians and the artists. Those things would be grouped together, not separated. So the comma separates things, separates complete thoughts. In this case, you would remove the comma, just like the last one. And then the example of combining two complete thoughts, right? This is a run-on sentence that we're looking at right here. Vincent Crabbe knew a shortcut, and he got to the party before the rest of his friends. So in this case, so is not combining two things that go together, but actually things that need to be separated. So in that case, you would add the comma in that example. Okay. Let me go back here okay, so for the third category, punctuating compound sentences with fanboys, again, similar kind of idea that you would be relying on the same chart, right, as far as how you would punctuate it. But a compound sentence is this example, when you have one independent clause connected with another independent clause with a conjunction, coordinated conjunction, a fanboy in between. And that would require the use of a comma. Oops. Wrong one. Here we go. So in this case, Hagrid wanted to get wanted a good grade on his spelling test, so he memorized the entire dictionary. So these are going to be very similar. The one trick you want to remember here is that it's always going to be a comma combining the two, and it always has to come before the conjunction, so before the fanboy. So the first sentence or the first independent clause, comma, conjunction, second independent clause, right? And that's always how it's going to be. It's never going to vary from that. If they want to put a semicolon in here, or in this case a period, you want to replace that with a comma. And again, make that lowercase because it makes it one sentence. So now that would be correct. This one is just missing a comma completely. So they're basically giving you the two complete thoughts here, the independent clauses. You just have to be able to punctuate them correctly, which, because it's a fanboy, it's always going to be a comma, and it's always going to come before the conjunction. So once you understand that, this exercise is pretty easy. Again, always going to be the same. Okay? And that's for that one. The next one, punctuating compound punctuating compound subjects, objects, and verbs. And that really is going to depend. You can see here, if it's just two things, there's no comma. And so you can see for all of these, actually, they're giving you on this one, there's no commas. If you're going to list three things, like for instance, compound subjects, that's when you would have commas. But for two, you do not have commas. So Draco Malfoy hopes that you'll forgive him and start hanging out with him again. So because this is basically all of these sentences are going to be ones that are going to combine subjects, objects, or verbs, you don't ever want to use the comma unless, like I said before, they give you one where you're going to have like a list of three things. So this is combine the verbs hopes and start, and so therefore no comma. The dog wondered when Professor Moody or his neighbor, so again, no comma. It's combining Professor Moody or his neighbor, and so therefore no comma needed. Vincent Crabbe and his former teacher, right? Two subjects, take out the comma. And these are all going to be like that. Basically, you're just removing the comma. I'm waiting to see if there's an example where they have it correct. Never eats his food that is raw or undercooked. Okay, so it's this would be example. There's no comma. You would just keep it. So these are always going to be the same. The thing is, when you take the quiz, these are all going to be mixed up. So you have to, it's not going to all be the same type of questions over and over, or the same type of examples over and over. You're going to have to anticipate them being different. So that's why it's important that you know the rules. So it's possible that Rafiki and his neighbor will want. So that's two subjects, one verb. So that would be no comma. Okay. And then moving on to the next one, connecting or correcting fanboy fragments. This would be basically, some of you may have seen this on your term papers. If I put fragment or incomplete sentence, that's what a fragment is. So you can see the first example, the but as its own to start a sentence, right, is incorrect. It needs to be connected to or combined with the first part of the sentence. So in that case, the solution is to put a comma before the but, right? If you just had the but by itself with the rest of that phrase, it is not a complete sentence. So looking at some examples here then, Matthew Blair wanted to play video games, but he couldn't until the power came back on. That's correct. Comma before the but, connecting two independent clauses. I saw Simba headed to the water slides a few minutes ago, so I didn't think he's ready to go home yet. That needs a comma before the so, because otherwise it's a run-on. Sinna wanted to win the competition, period, so he practices clarinet every day. This is a fragment, the second part. And the way to fix that is just to connect it to the sentence before it. So when you see a fragment, the easiest way to fix it is to combine it to the sentence that comes before or after. It depends on how it's written. But generally, it's pretty obvious if you just kind of look at it just to attach it. And Hamish Abernathy opened the refrigerator to make a sandwich, but all of that was a bottle of Hershey's syrup. Just like the last one, this is a fragment, so therefore we just need to take and put a comma here in order to correct that. Okay. Now on to the last one about the comma splices in fused sentences. So this is the one that was probably the most common mistake people made in their paper. A comma splice is when you have a comma here, as you can see, separating instead of what this should be, would be a semicolon or a period. And that was something that we reviewed earlier when we talked about the use of colons and semicolons. So the way to fix that would be to add a conjunction if you want to keep the comma, right? Or put a period, or put a semicolon, and then there's the one I said, the comma with the conjunction, which is kind of more in line with what we're doing here. Now, there's many ways you can see to fix this, but these would be the most common. It's never wrong to put a period between two sentences. The semicolon, if those things are connected in some way, as in this example, they would be, or if you can use a semicolon, you can also use a comma with a fanboy. So looking at some examples of this, and this would be like the main kind of exercise as far as putting everything together. Albert Dumbledore loved ice cream. He especially enjoyed spooning rainbow sprinkles all over the top. So because you can't add a conjunction here, you could use the semicolon, keep it the way it is, or you could put the period if you wanted to capitalize he. That would also be correct. So either of those would be correct. Sarabi's friends want to go to the beach this weekend. They already rented a car, comma, so we just need to borrow some towels. The fused sentence is up here between weekend and they. So this is all one sentence here, complete thought. This is all another complete thought here. And this is another one. So this is really combining three. But this last one has a fanboy in front of it, so therefore it's fine the way it is. But this first one needs to be fixed between the first and the second one. So that would be an example of that. And then this, if you read through this, right, he's a great camp counselor. He made up silly nicknames for all the kids. This is more like the first one. You want to put a semicolon, or you could put a period if you capitalize the he. So either you keep it one sentence by adding a semicolon, or you put the period in there to make it 2 sentences. And then let's see one more. Okay, so in this case, the first part of this, Minerva and her friends started painting the fence at opposite ends, comma. They didn't notice they were using different colors until they met in the middle. So this is only 2, and it's combined with a comma. So this is just like the previous ones, and you would put a semicolon here to keep it one sentence. So if they don't have the option of the fanboy, you cannot use a comma to combine the sentences, right? It only works if you have a but, a for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so in there. Let me see, there's one more. Well, same as the last one. So yeah, this one, Harry Potter can't wait for the first day of school. He wants to show everyone his new shoes. So, okay, so that's it. So like I said, the quiz will be next class. If you have specific questions beyond this, or after looking at this, let me know. We're going to be, an option to read. You can always email me, but an option now is also to reach out to me through Teams, Microsoft Teams, make a call, and I'm usually going to have it open during the day. If there's something that you want to chat or review with me one-on-one, you could do that as well. So I'll talk to everybody later, and have a good day. Take care.